Hi, I am Peter James. I'm the author of the Roy Grace series, of which this book I'm now holding, They Thought I Was Dead, is the latest volume, and it's a little bit different because it tells all about Roy Grace's long missing wife, Sandy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the character of Sandy Grace, Roy Grace's long missing wife, who is the central character in this novel. Sandy first appears by mention only in Dead Simple, the very first Roy Grace book, when we learn that Roy Grace had been, in his own mind, very happily married to Sandy, and she had vanished off the face of the earth 9 years earlier on his 30th birthday. He literally came home all set to go out to dinner with some friends, and she was gone. And for the next 9 years, before Dead Simple starts, we learn that he hunted high and low for Sandy. He tried everything. He didn't know whether she'd been kidnapped, had run off with a lover, had an accident, taken her own life, or what had happened to her. Meantime, he's been continuing to function as a very effective homicide detective. And then slowly, in Dead Simple, his life starts to move on when his great mate and colleague Glenn Branson sets him up with a blind date. That's a disaster, but over progressive books he develops a love affair with Cleo Morey, who runs the mortuary. And over the next 15 books, as that love affair progresses, Roy and Cleo too are both worried that what would happen if Sandy did reappear? In the meantime, the readers, I'm treating to little snippets that perhaps Sandy wasn't quite the perfect wife Roy had always imagined. I show her appearing here and there in Germany primarily, and we start to learn some of her flaws, and that perhaps, not saying this, but might Roy be better off without her? One question I'm often asked about Roy Grace and Sandy is, how did they meet? Well, obviously I don't want to give too much away, but I can tell you that they met at Brighton Greyhound Stadium over an evening of dog racing, and it is actually in one of the books. And after they meet and they fall in love, for a while they are seemingly extremely happy. Certainly Roy is very happy and very content, and he assumes Sandy is as well. But what a lot of people don't realise is that being the other half of a police officer can be pretty testing. Not just the fact they work shift hours, but the constant worry when they leave home. And there's so many frustrations. I remember one that I've actually used in this story, told to me by the police officer's wife, and I said, what's it like being married to him? And she said, it drives me flipping nuts. She said, we were going out for our wedding anniversary. He's booked a lovely restaurant. We're in a taxi in the centre of Brighton, and he suddenly spots a villain that he hasn't seen for 2 years and has been looking for. Tells the taxi driver to stop, tells me to go to the restaurant, order him a gin and tonic, and he jumps out the taxi. He then chases this bloke for 2 miles through Brighton, eventually rugger tackles him. I'm sitting in the restaurant, 10:30. He still hasn't turned up. And he phones me and he says, oh, darling, I'm still in the custody centre. It'll probably be another half an hour or so. You can imagine just how tough that is. I'm often asked, what are Sandy's flaws? Well, I'm not going to give away too much because I want you to read about it in the book. But I'll tell you one thing that nobody knows about, and from reading the Roy Grace novels, you'd never find out. She was a secret gambler. Many people have said to me, why have you given Sandy her own novel? And again, I guess my best answer is read it, and I think you'll understand that it's a very complicated and fascinating story. I've always been intrigued, I think my readers right from the very beginning, right from Dead Simple, have inundated me with questions and with theories about what might have happened to her, with speculations. I remember one letter from a reader about 12 books into the series, quite indignant, saying, "Dear Mr. James, I've just worked out you're a lot older than me, and imagine I am much fitter than you, which means you're going to die before me. So I hope you've left the secret of what happens to Sandy safely in your publisher's vaults." And part of the reason I wanted to write this book was to really show the truth. I wanted to show that whenever we look at a relationship between two people, we only see the side they present to the world, they present to us. What goes on behind closed doors, what goes on behind any relationship, I think is always much more complex than anyone can see just from the outside looking in. That's something I really wanted to explore, and I thought would provide great satisfaction not only to my Roy Grace fans, but to everyone who enjoys a really good thriller about an interesting and smart woman. Many people have asked me if I found out anything new about Sandy during the writing of this novel, and I can tell you I learned an awful lot about her. Much of it surprising me too as I got to know her better and better. And as to what motivates her, again, I don't want to give too much away, but there is a point at which I think she comes to realise that she might have made a big mistake in leaving Roy. Thanks so much, all of you, for watching. I hugely hope if you read the book, you'll really enjoy it. And do let me know what you think of it.